Hi, boys and girls. My name is Mike Kelly from AnimatorSforum.com. And yet, once again, I'm here to talk about the smart rigging that I'm using for all of my characters and that hopefully someday will be available to everybody. But I want to talk about a couple of concepts, a couple of new things that work with it that will lead into the next video I'm going to do. So this particular video is going to be about some of the questions people have asked me, and in particular, one of the questions I was asked was, how do I know, or how does the smart rigging know where to split your limbs? And so I want to show you how that works. Here's a typical character, or a character I've done, and here's one of his limbs. This is the arm. Remember, I don't do the hands or feet; those are put in automatically for me by the smart rigging program. Although you could draw them yourself, and it would correctly ignore them. In this particular case, you might say, well, maybe it just takes the total length of the limb and divides it in two, and that wouldn't be a bad way of doing it. I don't do it that way, but that's certainly one possibility. What I do is allow you to get a lot of control and yet make it very easy to split the limb anywhere you want. How do we do that? Well, we do that by specifying on the limb exactly the two spots on either side, 2 points on either side that will comprise the split of that limb. I'm drawing a straight line across those 2 points. And the 2 points must be 2 points only. They must be in a group called split, and they must be sharp points. So if you look here, we're on the downstage arm, and I go over here to this, and I show you that there is a group called split right here, if you can see that dark thing there. And there's the 2 points that are across, and those are also, to see what kind of points they are, if I go to one of those points, we'll just turn it on here, one of those split points, you'll see that it's a sharp point. The reason it's sharp is that that preserves the curvature as best Anime Studio can do when you have an existing curve. Now you might be saying to yourself, I hope you're saying to yourself, well, Mike, that doesn't sound exactly all that easy. I have to put 2 points in on the limb that I want to split. I have to put them in a control group. I have to name it split. They have to be sharp cornered points. Why is that so easy? Well, if that was what it were, or that was the process, it wouldn't be all that easy. But what I've done, of course, as always, is, because I'm lazy, is to automate that process. So I'm going to go to the downstage leg, and if I go up here, you'll see that right now there is not a split group here of points. But I want to split this leg, and usually when I want to split it, I take off the where I can see where I'm going to split. I'm going to split it around here, and what I do is I make use of existing Anime Studio tools. I use the freehand tool. So freehand, I've selected freehand, and you'll notice I've got in the auto weld option checked. Very important to have that checked. That's the only one that really needs to be checked. And now I'm going to just draw a line across where I want this limb to split. And it's created those 2 points. And those 2 points are sharp points. Well, actually, they're not sharp points right now. But when I press my magic button, which is the magic button that I have down here, called B for the magic button, I don't know why I call it B, then it will take away all of those extraneous things, leaving just the 2 points, and it also went ahead and put them in a group called split. So you see there's a split group. So it automatically did all of those things, and all I had to do was just simply draw the line straight across, and that created my split group. So that's how easy it is to generate. And that way I can split it anywhere I want along the limb very quickly and easily. And the other thing that the program does is to determine where the actual top of the limb bones are placed. If you stop and think about it, the limb bone needs to be placed, obviously, up here on the top of the limb. And you might say, well, it's easy to decide where it needs to be placed inside the limb because it would be in the middle, right? And that is what the system does, but it has to decide how far down in that limb. So once again, if I turn this turn this off so that you can see how it's constructed. Get rid of the torso. So if you place the bone up here, then it rotates around here. That's not really where you want it to rotate. You want it to rotate somewhere around here would be a good place, so that would rotate properly around there. And as it's constructed now, the automatic routine does figure that out, and it does it pretty well. But if you want to actually specify it specifically where you want that bone to start, then you can go over here to the origin points. And hopefully you're all familiar with how origins are set. And if the origin's set for 0, 0, then it will do its automatic routine. But if you set it for anything other than 0, 0, in this particular case, I'm going to put it right here. This is exactly where I want it to split, or where the bone to start. I'm sorry, back to splitting. That's where I want the bone to start. And so now, when the auto rig routine is in effect, it will go ahead and set those bones there right at that origin point. Usually, I'll set the origin point for the downstage arm, downstage leg. The upstage arm and the upstage leg, the origins are not as critical because they're going to pivot behind the body. So it's not as bad, and I'm going to use smart bones anyway, so I'm going to make all the adjustments, but by setting the pivot points, as I'll show you in my next video, and how we actually construct the characters, it's kind of important to have the pivot points set correctly for the downstage arm and legs for our 3/4 characters. So this is a way I can specify exactly, just in case it doesn't do it otherwise. The last thing I want to mention is the line width tool. What I have automatically, I have a terrible trouble with line width. I'm always drawing things and getting the line widths wrong, and so my characters have a very inconsistent line width. And usually what happens is I'm either bringing parts in from other characters, or maybe just I'm drawing them at different times and I get the width wrong. And so one of the things that AutoRig does also is it also adjusts all the line widths properly so they all match the same width. And it does that in a smart manner because I don't want to lose the variable line width. As you notice here, I've got some variable line widths. These widths start off, almost at 0, or I do start off at 0, and then they go up. So if I were to adjust these bigger, I wouldn't want to lose that tapering effect still. So luckily, I'm working on my Mac again, and once again, this mouse is incredibly sensitive. I tried to adjust it. I don't know anything about Macs, really. A PC kind of guy. What am I trying to say? So my routine that adjusts the line widths, when it goes ahead and does the auto rigging, automatically takes into account the variance in line widths and smooths everything out. If we were going to use the auto rig program, if it was going to be available for everybody, here's the line width, if you can see that up there, right in 1.4. If we're going to make it available for everybody, I'd probably have a checkbox here to have that either active or inactive, because some people like variable line widths, like even on the outside width of your lines, or just kind of a ragged effect. And my program would not allow for that. It does allow for variance like this, but it would try to standardize all the line widths, and that would not be good for those of you that don't like it that way. So that would be easy enough to make variable. So that's it. And my next video, I'm going to actually show you how to construct, or how I construct, my characters. Thanks much for listening, and talking to you soon.